Okay, so we're coming to sit in Sukhasana. So I know you're all familiar with this posture. It's a cross-legged posture. We're bringing the knees and the ankles into alignment. Hopefully you saw my message that came up on screen or in the chat window before you joined, to either have a block or a book and a blanket or a towel. So once you've drawn your buttock flesh out and back, then you may, if you feel collapsed in your posture, you may come to sit on a block or sit on a folded towel or blanket. And if you're raising up your seat, you might need a little bit of support under your shins too, so you can take that support under your shins. And you can close your eyes, so resting your hands on your thighs somewhere by the knees, so you're nice and spacious across the chest. And then as you close your eyes, we're going to come to our breath. And as we come to our breath, what we find via the breath is just a deeper connection with self. So as the breath comes into the body, we feel that depth of where our breath reaches. It reaches into the depth of our being. And we can feel that breath as it releases from the body, as we give the breath out into the world, that, you know, there's an offering in that. There's an offering of that deepest layer of our own being into everything. Everything that we would normally perceive to be external to us, we offer ourselves into that. Now, as we feel into the breath and we use the breath as that tool to come into our center, and we can appreciate, you know, our ability here to breathe freely. You know, and particularly in this time at the moment, you know, we're all lucky to be here practicing yoga together with the ability to breathe freely. But what we can also feel as we feel into that deepest sense of self and that offering into the world, and as we go in deeper, you know, it's deeply intimate and personal, yet it's impersonal because we're all going into the same place. And what we can feel in that, as we feel this free flow of breath, is, you know, perhaps an offering of that free flowing breath. An offering of that free flowing breath out into the world, out into, you know, to those people who may not be able to breathe as freely as we can here now. We can offer it towards them from our heart center, from the center of being, which is the center for all of us. We're going to release the cross of our legs. We're going to change the cross of our legs. So you can extend your legs out in front of you. You can give them a bit of movement as you need to. And then you can change the cross of your legs, staying connected to your breathing as you do so. Placing your hands there. Again on your knees, allowing your forehead to soften, your jaw to release. Taking any support that you need. So the support that we have here, wherever you are in your house, maybe you're on the first floor or you're not on the ground floor, but we can feel that support beneath us as a connection with the earth beneath us. We're not hovering in an aeroplane, so we do have a line of connection down into the earth. And as we feel into that line of connection down into the earth, and we can feel the rest of us here who are practicing together, we're all feeling into that connection, and we can feel into that connection as a connection with each other, as a connection with, all those loved ones that we can only see virtually at the moment. We can feel that we are still physically connected to each other. So it can be a useful imagery in terms of the interconnected nature of life that, is a constant exploration within yoga, this practice that means union or integration. I find sometimes a useful visualization is to, pull myself out as though I'm panning out from where I am and panning out into space to look upon our earth. And then when we look upon the earth, what we see is one object there. We don't see the billions of people and the different animals and the different life that's there as lots of separate beings. We see this one vibrant planet. So as we sit here, in sometimes what is a contracted mode of being, of feeling very much me, myself and I, we can feel out into that expansion, into that unified connection of all being part of that one whole. And that visualization, of course, can expand out further from the earth. It can expand out, to the reaches of the universe. And then we just start to see this mass of space that we are part of. We are not separate from that which surrounds us. We do not exist in a vacuum. Okay, now as the breath continues to flow, we're going to release ourselves from our cross-legged posture. We're going to bring ourselves up to standing. So coming up to standing. And we're going to bring ourselves into Tadasana, and in Tadasana, so I recommend, your view on your screen, you've got speaker view, and then you'll get a better view of me rather than the gallery view. And in Tadasana, although it's lovely to see each other, of course, in Tadasana, we're coming into the version with the feet in close towards each other. So we're padding the feet to bring them in. We're spreading the toes. We're spreading across the balls of the feet. We're finding a rising up. Again, we can feel that connection with the floor. And maybe you might bounce into that to really start to feel it. So, maybe you're on a slightly different surface. I am here. I've got carpet beneath me. So it's different to where I normally practice on a harder surface. So that is adding to my experience of exploration. It's another means of waking up. So as you maybe bounce into it to start to feel that good connection with your feet, then you're going to start to feel a rising up, a rising up, a rising up. And then you can let yourself move into that rising up. Allow your arms to release down by your side. Allow your breath to flow with ease and enjoy Tadasana, mountain pose. So, mountain pose, we have this posture that we may feel into, why is this posture being called mountain pose, Tadasana, or sometimes Samasthiti, which means an equal steadiness or an equal stillness. So there isn't a quality of maybe majestic stillness that we feel in Tadasana, but it doesn't have to be completely still. A mountain only appears to be still, within the temporal realm of, the time, the limited time that we observe a mountain in. But if we started looking in geological time, then there's movement there. There's movement on the surface of the mountain from weather, from movement of rocks. So in other words, although we have this sense of majestic stillness in our mountain pose, there may be flutterings of movement that need to come in. You may feel that you need to move through your shoulders, to sway into the hips, to breathe into particular parts of your body. So you just let the flow come in its own time. Okay, now what we're going to do from our Tadasana now is you're going to pick up your block or book. So a yoga block, maybe I'll grab a book to be, get a bit more on board with those of you who might not have yoga equipment. So just to show that we can use a book. So I've got a book here. And maybe you're thinking, oh, what book shall I choose in case people can see my book? Don't worry about it. Just grab a book that's approximately a little bit like a yoga block. Okay, so you can place your book or block in your hands. So you're holding either side and coming closer to the screen. So you can see I've got a good firm grip. Maybe I'll just come in a little closer for this. And we're going to be raising our arms above our head as we hold the block. I'm going to bend down so you can see that, but you're in Tadasana and you're going to bring your arms up like this, and then as you reach up through your arms, you're then going to bend your elbows and bring your block or your book behind you and reach up into the elbows. Now you need little light tone in the belly here to help you to lift and extend. That's it, breathe. So we can start to feel that engagement in the upper back. You can sway into it, you can move into it. And as you feel that engagement in the upper back, you might need to add some breath into that. See if you can bring your elbows more towards pointing up rather than winging out, if you can. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, now we're going to take our arms up again and bring our arms down in front of us and let the shoulders release, let the breath settle, pause and breathe. And then remaining in your Tadasana position with your block or book, we're going to bring our arms back above our head. Keeping a good firm grip. And then we're going to allow ourselves to lean over. So you can lean over towards the right. And as you lean over towards the right, what you can allow to happen here, so I'll come back so you can see me better again, is you may lean your hip into it. So you can see I'm not just keeping my body upright and just moving the arms. I'm leaning in so I can play into really feeling that stretch, really opening up through the side ribs. That's it. Lovely. And feel free to move into it. So a little lean forwards, a little movement forwards and back, might feel beneficial. It may help you to really access that stretch through the side of the body as you breathe. And enjoy that playfulness of, not just getting caught into a static posture. Okay, and then bring yourselves back up. That's it, perfect. Breathe, reaching up. And then you can lift into your block and fold over to the other side. And again, feel free to move into it, to stretch over. You may back up and lean over a little more so you can play between stretching, extending, and perhaps, dropping back into a more sort of receptive action. So you feel out the stretch and then you feel the impact of that stretch as you drop back in. That's it, play. Breathe. Okay, well done. Pressing into your feet, rolling back into the center. We'll lower our arms down. Just let your breath settle. Let the weight of your block or book just release your shoulders down. And find your breath. Okay. So we're going to take our self. So we're sideways on our mats now, and what we can do is come towards the front end of your mat. You've still got your block in your hands in front of you, and we're going to step back the right leg. So let's take a good step back through the right leg. Now, if you anticipate, if you've got any sensitivity in your knees and you normally need padding to come into a lunge type position, then you can grab your blanket or towel and have it ready for this back knee to land on. So what we're going to do is a little action. I'll just do a little demonstration. So we're going to be raising our arms up, and then we're going to drop down into a lunge by bending both knees, so extending the front leg forwards, bending the back knee, and we're going to bring our hands behind our back and reach up into our elbows. So it's going to be a big lift up through the front body. And then when we push back up, we're going to take our arms forward so we get this deep stretch through the back of the body. So that's our two actions there. Okay, so when you're ready, let's inhale and lift the arms up. Keep breathing. So allow yourselves to breathe at your own pace as you drop down, as you lower yourselves down rather. You take your hands back behind you, you lift into your elbows, you bring light tone into the belly and lift into the chest, and then you press through the feet and come up, continuing to breathe at your own pace, extending your arms forwards. Perfect. Let's do two more of those at your own pace. So extending through the front thigh, reaching forwards, lowering the back knee down, so we start to feel into that quadricep stretch through the front of the thigh. We lift, we extend into the elbows. You can let your head move into it, and then you can bring yourselves up with ease, stretching the arms forwards. That's it, breathing, perfect. And we're on our last one. Lowering down, extending the block behind the body, lifting up into your elbows. That's it, perfect. And then our last, rising up on this side, extending forwards through your arms, move into it, really feel into that space between the shoulders through the back here, and then lower your arms. Turn back to the front, take some deep breaths. Forehead softens, jaw releases. And you find your breath. And you find your breath like we found our breath at the beginning, as a support. The support for self and a guide towards self. It's not a guide towards that self that we so often identify with, the self that has thoughts, feelings and emotions. We're not disidentifying with that. We are dropping beneath that so we can have a deeper experience of being. That deeper experience of being that, you know, can be untouched by current events, that has calmness there, that has space. Okay, we're going to turn to the other side now. So you rotate and you need to lift up your back heel. You can walk that front foot further over towards the side of your mat. So you want to have space here across the pubic bone. So your legs are effectively not crossing in front of the pubic bone. You can lift up your back heel. You might want to play a little here before we come down into our posture by lifting up the heel, reaching back. That's it. So you can really feel into your calf muscle. So it's a nice way to access a nice deep stretch there. And then we're going to go into the same action again on this side. So we're going to start to raise our arms up, bend the front knee, lower your back knee down towards the floor, bring your hands behind you, lift up into your elbows, a little light tone in the belly, little lift in your chest, maybe a little wobble like I just had. That's it, breathe. And then press into your feet to extend up, reach your arms forwards. That's it, breathe. And then again, same again, lowering, breathing, just feeling into that steady action. Really reach up into the elbows and try to hug the upper arms in towards the head so you're not winging out, so we can keep the shoulder blades deep into the back of the body at that stage. And our last, lowering down, the arms lift as the legs lower down, and then the arms come down. We lift into the elbows. We give ourselves that little tone in the belly. We breathe. And then we press again into the feet. We extend the arms forwards. We take some deep breaths here. And then we can lower our arms down. You can step your feet up towards the top end of your yoga mat. And you can pause and breathe. In fact, take your book or block behind you so we can just have this little bit more space across the chest. We'll keep hold of it. Just make sure you're not gripping with the fingers, so if you need to wiggle out the fingers a little so you're not gripping. And then that's it, pause there, pause there. You can feel that little gentle tug of the weight of your block or book, encouraging the shoulders to draw down, a little light tone in the belly when we breathe. Okay, we're going to release our prop and pop it to one side. Okay, and you can turn back towards the screen, just making sure you've got space either side of you so you can see me. What we're going to do here is we are going to place our feet. They can either be in close together as we would take them for one variation of Tadasana, or you can step your feet apart and have a little bit of space between the feet. What we're going to do here is we're going to raise our arms up at shoulder height, so taking the arms out wide. That's it, perfect. Now we're going to feel into a little bit of movement, which we're going to travel up or across the arms from one to the other. So again, I'm going to come in a little closer so you can see my arms. I'll come down so you've got a better view there, but you're in Tadasana. So we're going to feel into a little circling of the right wrist. So just feel into that. Now, there's going to be some effort that starts to creep in to hold our arms up in this way through the shoulders. So we want to breathe. Maybe we need to move a little in it to support the shoulders. Now with that circling through the right hand, we're going to pick up that circling into the whole of the right arm. Now it might just be a little movement, but it might also open up into a bigger movement, and you can let your body move into it as you feel. And it's fine to have a smaller movement or a bigger movement. So you can see I'm leaning forwards and I'm moving back and forth. And we're just feeling into that range of movement around the shoulder. And then we're going to take this movement into the other arm. So the other arm is going to pick up the movement now. So it's going to be a big wide movement through the left arm. That's it, and then it may come in a little closer, and then it's going to go into the wrist. So we're going to take that movement just into the wrist. Now, this is where we start to probably feel into our shoulders. So, move it out a little, wiggle it out. We're going to do one more time. We're going to go back in the opposite direction. So we're going to work it back to the first hand. So again, start with your left hand, rotating in the opposite direction, and then you're going to pick that up with the arm. So the opposite direction to before. This may give you a little relief or release in the shoulder from this. The other arm, maybe it's feeling fairly strong there, but we're not going to be here for too long. You can breathe into it. It's good to get that strength into the deltoid muscles, those muscles that cap the shoulder. Okay, now let's pick that up with the other arm. Pick it up with the other arm, that's it. Circling. And then we're going to bring it all the way down again to the wrist. And then just feel this as we slow it down, and then when you bring the hand to a stop, it's like a little return to stillness that happens. Just feeling into that return to stillness. And then we're going to release our arms down slowly. It's tempting to just quickly release the arms, but just let them come down slowly. Let your arms release. Sorry, the cat is trying to move the camera. And breathe. That's it, breathe. Forehead soft, jaw released. Let everything settle. So there's probably still some settling happening there in the shoulders. So really feel into that settling in your shoulders. It takes time, and it always takes time when we've moved, but if we've been holding or working a muscle for quite a while, it will take longer to release. But just taking this time to feel into it, to breathe into it, and to enjoy that experience of release as it happens. And to keep breathing, keep breathing. Well done. Okay. So let's raise our arms up above our head again. Let's lightly interlace the fingers, and we'll turn our palms up towards the ceiling And we're going to play into that movement that we did before with our block or book, just that side to side movement, but we're going to pick up a little flow rather than holding it. We're going to move from side to side. As we come up to the center, we really lift into the palms. As we move from side to side, we keep some support from the lower belly. That's it, perfect, and we breathe into it. Okay, coming back into the center, releasing your fingers, releasing your arms down, letting again that continuous softening of the forehead, that release of the jaw. Finding your breath and finding that internal connection with space. Okay, just placing your hands on your hips. We're going to take a wide stride with our feet now. So stepping out nice and wide and checking that your feet are in line with each other. So through the midline of each foot, from the center of the toes to the center of the heel, spreading the toes, drawing back the heels. And again, just giving yourself to the breath here. And we're going to fold ourselves forward. So we want that movement, as always, to come from the hip joint. So we're going to let the whole of the pelvis turn. So for some people, it's useful to take hold of the pelvis to feel the bony structure of the hips and feel like you are pouring it out, like you're pouring out a bowl of water, perhaps. And as you pour out through the hips, then the spine follows, and then we may come to a point where we can bring our fingertips to the floor, or you can grab your book and give yourself some support. You don't have to be putting loads of weight, so if it's not a hardback book, this one's a bit wobbly, it's fine. I can use it to just find a little balance there through the hands. Now as you fold forwards, and there's no rush to come into a full forward bend, and if we rush, what tends to happen is we round in our back. But if we fold forwards at the pace of our body's natural release, then what will lead us forwards is that we'll get this sort of dipping sensation in the lower back. So if my back dips like that, then it means that the pelvis has turned a bit more, so I can continue to fold. If it hasn't dipped and I'm rounded like this and then I start folding, I'm simply moving through my vertebrae to get into that forward fold. So what we want to do is, let the pelvis constantly be the initiator of this movement. So we want to come forwards because our hamstrings are allowing that. The hamstrings are releasing, and that's what will take us further forward. So if you find yourself starting to dip in the lower back, then feel free to fold down, to come further forwards into a forward fold, and you may release your head towards the floor. Again, don't do it prematurely. So I often, even when I'm coming down quite low, will keep my head lifted until the very last moment, so I can keep this extension through the front of the body. Sometimes I'll move into it, bending a knee and taking a lean over from side to side to feel into it. And then I'll fold down and I'll release the head and neck, and I'll breathe. And breathe into the back of the thighs and enjoy that stretch through the back of the thighs without stepping over the line into forcefulness, without stepping into grasping. Okay, let's come back up onto our fingertips. And we're going to walk our hands around to one foot. So either one, we're going to go into downward facing dog. So just take a little walk around towards one of your feet and rotate on the feet so you can place your hands down so they are shoulder width apart. Your fingers are spread, and then you're going to take a step back into downward facing dog. Now again, we want to get this same action at the pelvis, this same tilt. So one way we can help that is by at least initially lifting our heels, because that gives a little bit more space to the back of the legs, to the hamstrings, frees up the pelvis to release. And then we need to add this action of really deepening through our hands to lift up through the body. That's it, breathing. Going to see if I can see any of you in your, that's it, perfect. So Paul, you can extend your chest further forwards. I can just see, that's good. Really press into your hands. Top of the thighs back. That's it, breathing. Just flicking through to check on your dog poses. That's it, breathing. Okay, when you need to release, you release down. So slowly come down. Come to your hands and knees. Pause there. Take a breath. Feel that breath of support. And from here, we will take ourselves back to a child pose. We're going to keep the big toes together. The knees can be together or a little way apart, but I want you to keep this lift on the chest. So I want us to really keep this extension through the front of the body. So as we draw back towards the heels, we soften into the front thighs, into the hips, into the groin area. The buttocks draw back, hands deep into the floor. We're lifting the chest forwards so we can feel as we fold ourselves into a child pose. And if you've folded already, maybe just lift yourself up again on your hands so you can place your body in sequence, placing the belly to the thighs, the ribs to the thighs, then the chest, then the head and neck, and release. And as you release down, as you extend your body into it, and then you extend your body into that support over your thighs or just a little between the thighs, then we can give ourselves into that support. We can breathe into that support. And there's a wonderful gathering in that happens in child pose. That drawing back into that center that we were feeling into with our breath. That drawing into being, that place of connection where we can connect with every other being. That we can connect beyond even our own planet. And allow your breath to flow and just go into that formless part of being that, has no story, has no expectation, has no worries. But we just feel into it. So as described, and this is a useful concept because we are sort of experiencing a form of this by Patanjali, the Yoga Sutra has this whole concept that what it's taking us towards is what is called kaivalyam, which means isolation. So of course we all have a little association with isolation at the moment, but the isolation that Patanjali is referring to, and this gets expanded out of this a little through the Tantra system, but it's the isolation of our identity with, that which is changeable. The fact that we are, being placed into this situation that perhaps we might not choose now, that the mind has its own thoughts, that the body experiences certain sensations and emotions. So the isolation is to isolate ourselves from that being our identity, to come into this formless part of our being. So isolation is considered to be a really positive thing through the Yoga Sutra Kaivalyam, that we isolate from that which is changing and move into that which is permanent, formless element of consciousness. Okay, so when you're ready, you may slowly bring yourselves out of your child pose, either just uncurling your body, walking your hands in. Don't feel it as a coming out of child pose, feel it as a coming into Vajrasana. So you come to sit and rest your hands in your lap, dropping your shoulders, softening your forehead, releasing your jaw, so you move into Vajrasana now as your posture. And you give yourself to Vajrasana. Take support if you need support. So again, I know that you're all familiar with what we would normally do here. You may pop a block or a towel or blanket between your buttocks and heels if you need to. Maybe you need some support under the ankles with a blanket. So, grab what you need so you can just sit comfortably back. You can just find little contentment of just being here, being with your breath. That's all there is in this moment. That's all that, really matters to our practice right now, is that we're feeling into the body, we're feeling into the breath. No form of rumination of the mind is going to feed this practice or nourish this practice. So if we get pulled into the mind stuff, just guide yourself back with your breath. Okay, we're going to come up onto our haunches now. Hopefully this is okay for everyone. So you're in a kind of squat-like position here. Okay, so your heels can be lifted, or you can pop your book or block underneath your heels if you feel more stable to sit back with support. So, if it's too strong for you through the shins, which can, this sort of squat position can be very strong for some people, then take some support under your heels, and that will help, because then you can drop back into the heels. But if you're happy with your heels up, keep your heels up. Now, we're just going to lift, and we're going to turn ourselves towards the right side. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a little lean over. So we just bring our fingertips to the floor, to our mat. That's it, perfect. And you can feel again into this little side body stretch. So you can even walk your fingertips a little further to feel into that stretch. Perfect. And then draw the arms back into the center. Let the shoulders settle. And then when you're ready, you'll fold over to the other side. So landing your fingertips to the floor. Perhaps walking the fingertips forwards, feeling again into this deep side stretch of the body, breathing. You know, you can move into this, you can have a little wiggle of the knees and feel, you know, how that might help you to access, you know, further extension through the side of the body, and then coming back up to the center. Perfect. Find your breath, find the flow in your breath. And then we're going to inhale and rise up through the chest. And we're going to exhale. I'm going to turn towards the right, and just stay upright this time. So you can just bring your arm against the outside of the knee. Your other arm can just rest behind you, or place your hand to your sacrum. So there's a little more balance here. So we need to bring focus. Okay, and then we come back into the center. And then we inhale and we lift up, and we exhale and we turn to the other side. So your right arm is crossing in front of the body towards the outside of the left leg, or, you know, if you're doing the other side, it's fine. Perfect. Come back in. Bring your fingertips to the floor. Now we're going to start to raise ourselves up. So if you've got something underneath your heels, just remove that. And then we're going to lift our bum up, so until our heels land to the floor. So we remain in this bent knee position. Okay, you can just stack your elbows on your thighs for a moment, so you can relax into this and feel free to move into it. So a little side, you know, angle view for you. You might find that you need to move around a little, perhaps to release any tension in the feet from the squat. Okay, now placing your hands onto your thighs. That's it, lifting through the chest. We're going to raise the left arm up. I'm going to inhale, and we're going to exhale, and we're going to turn towards the right, and we're going to bring that elbow towards the outside of the the right thigh. So your left elbow is crossing over, and you may lift and turn a few times until you make some contact, and you see if you can try to extend through the chest still. So try not to just curl in, but see if you can lift and lengthen and then turn, and then you may place your top hand on top of the bottom hand as you turn, and you can play into it, you can bounce a little into it, you can breathe into it. Well done. Fold yourselves back to the center, hands on your thighs. Now you may need to move a little here, extend your arms, open up the angle of the back of the knees a little if it's getting quite strong into the quadriceps, the front thighs, or into the hip flexors. And breathe. And then again, we'll just allow ourselves to sit down low, and you're going to raise your right arm up, and we're going to cross over to the other side. So we're going to bring that elbow down, and we're going to move. So we can move a couple of times, so we can play into that. And then when you feel ready, if you feel ready, of course, you may bring your elbow to the outside of the thigh. You can bring your top hand on top of the bottom hand. You can extend the chest forwards. You can breathe, you can sway. And just see if you can enjoy your breath and enjoy the movement in your body. Okay, well done. Let's come back into the center, so your hands are on your thighs. We're going to press into our feet, and we're going to bring ourselves all the way up, finding the breath. So maybe that felt quite strong for you. It felt fairly strong for me, so I can feel the You know, there's almost a tendency for me to want to go to a grasping breath, to try and grab that breath. But what we want to do is allow a settling in the body and a trust in the breath. The trust in the breath that it will come and support us as we need it. We don't have to grasp that breath. We can allow the natural flow to come in its own time, with space and ease. Okay, I want you to raise up your left arm. And we're going to lift up the right knee. So shifting your weight into your left foot, raising up your right knee. And then we're going to move into a twist again. So we're going to let the body lift and we're going to turn. So we're going to allow the arm to then extend. So the arm will come onto the outside of the thigh, outside of the knee. And then we may extend our arm back behind us if we have that space. Sorry, I keep cutting my own head off when I come in close. Also breathing. And then we're going to return it back into the center. We're going to gather back into the center. We're going to rest, placing our foot next to the other. We're going to find our breath. And then again, when you're ready, we're going to move to the other side. So you're going to raise up your right arm. You're going to raise up your left knee. And then as you inhale, you lift up. You really find this internal lift through the torso. And then you turn and you can bring your arm to just rest to the outside of the leg. Your other hand can come onto your sacrum towards the bottom of the spine, or you may extend that arm out behind you. That's it, perfect. Keep breathing, keep breathing. Obviously, anytime you need to release out of the pose, you can release out of the pose. But whilst you're there, you just breathe. Okay, come back into the center. Take a breath. We're going to keep our weight in our left foot. We're going to turn to the right side again. So we're going to raise up the right knee. But this time we're going to bring our left arm down through the inside of the thigh, so opposite arm to the raised knee. And you're going to see you can either grab hold of the shin, or if you can reach your big toe, take hold of your big toe. Now your palm is facing out, okay, out from the center line of your body, okay. And then we're going to start to lift and turn, and we're going to start to extend that leg out in front of us, and we may take our arm out behind us. So as you draw the knee in and then extend the foot forwards and you turn into it, you may be able to reach your arm out behind you, but it's fine to be at any stage. You may keep the knee bent, you may be holding onto the shin and extending through it. So just feel into it at your own pace. Remember what we discussed at the beginning before we started the class. You're feeling into your body. You're taking responsibility here. Okay, and then bending the knee, turning back to the center, releasing your foot next to the other one, taking some spacious breaths, enjoying this return to the center, this settling into the center of being. And then again, you can raise up your left knee, Shifting your weight into your right foot. You're going to bring your right arm down. You're going to take hold of the big toe, lifting through the chest. And then you're going to start to extend that leg forwards as you lift and turn the body sideways. So again, we've got this opening out, breathing. And it doesn't matter if you lose your balance. Let it breathe. Okay, and come back in. Feel this gathering back into the center as you land your foot to the floor, as you release your arms down by your side, as you settle into your breath. Feel any movement, any flow within the body. Feel the flow of your breath. Feel the pulse of your circulation. Feel the flow of prana, of energy, of life force. Okay. From here, we're going to come down onto our mat to lie down. Now, you may need your blanket or towel here. And there's a couple of ways we can use it. So we're going to come into Supta Sukhasana. So crossing our legs as we did at the beginning, but we're going to come to sit. So I'll just do a quick run through of that with you. So you're going to come to sit, you're going to cross your legs towards the front end of your mat, a nice compact cross-legged position. And then when you come down, your hands will come to the floor behind you. You'll lift your bum up off the floor. You'll take your buttocks forwards, and then you'll lower yourselves down through your elbows, and then extend yourself down. Now, when you come down in this way, if you feel, in cross-legged position, or when you come down, if it's really tight on the inner thighs, tight into the inner groins, then I want you to take your blanket or towel, lift up the shins, and then you can pop the blanket underneath. So you can have it ready, because this is possible to place it in when you're down. So if you get there and it feels tight, if you've got it ready, then you can pick up the knees, you pick up your feet, you pop it under between the feet and the knees, and then you lower your feet down, and then let your knees drop out onto your blanket or towel. Okay, now if you feel tight in the lower back, what normally causes tightness in the lower back, it might be this tightness in the psoas muscles. So it might be that you need a bit more support. You need a blanket underneath your feet as well. But what you may also not have done fully is to get this tuck under of the pelvis. So to really draw the buttocks forwards and to really extend yourselves back. Chin in towards the chest as you extend yourself back, and then you'll get more extension through the back of the body. That's it. Really lift and lengthen yourselves down. Perfect. Just coming. I can only see 4 of you on screen at a time, so I'm flicking through because I'm doing it on my phone. That's it, breathing. And lay down and breathe and enjoy. Just enjoy dropping into your breath fully. So Supta Sukhasana, Supta Sukhasana, this posture of ease and space, Sukhasana, Su, ease, Ka, space. Supta, reclined. So we recline ourselves back into the experience of ease and space. And what does it mean to drop into ease and space? Well, it actually means that we are just dropping into our natural state of being. So as with that visualization where we panned out and we just started to perhaps have a sense of being part of a bigger whole, being part of space, not something that is separate from that surrounds us. And ease is, what we experience when we're not being taxed by, the usual thoughts, feelings and emotions that, take us on sometimes a bumpy ride in life. It's like the ease of a sleeping baby, they have no pressure on them as long as their needs are met. They're not thinking about what's coming next. They're not thinking about what came before. So this is what we can start to look towards in our yoga practice, is the experience of just being in ease and space, just being in present moment to moment awareness. Because here, as we lay here in this wonderful posture, Supta Sukhasana, just simply letting the breath flow and letting ourselves be totally supported by the floor. What else is there other than ease and space? Anything else that comes in is stuff that we add to it, even if there's strong sensations in the body that we're not deliberately making, Our attitude to them, how we meet them, can be from a place of ease and space. Okay, now I'd like you to change the cross of your legs, so you can do this in situ. If you uncross your legs, if you've got support there, you can loosen it or take hold of it. You can place your feet on the floor. This is a good opportunity to re-extend through the lower back, to lift your buttocks up and extend them forwards. And then you change the cross of the legs, and then again pop in that support if you need to. So from lying down, you have to lift your feet up from the floor, pull your knees in towards you, and then pop the support between your shins and your feet. If that doesn't quite work out, changing in situ, then feel free to bring your hands to the floor, push yourselves up forwards, and then you may fold yourselves down again. That's it, perfect. Breathe. And again, there's a total giving here. A resting into being. And you allow your facial muscles to relax, to soften over the bony structure of your skull. There is a little relaxing of self. Not having to create that image of being someone. It's okay, we can let our face relax, so much so that, you know, we're not holding our face to conform with social convention or conditioning. We're just letting everything relax so we can give to that relaxed state. Okay, so taking another breath here, and then when you've taken that breath, nice, easy, steady breath, you may uncross your legs and place your feet to the floor, removing any support that you have there. So you're lying down on your back with the soles of your feet on the floor. And again, you might adjust your body a little. Perhaps you need to, do a tuck under or whatever you need. And we'll just take our arms out wide, so our elbows are around about level with the eyes. Our hands are a little wider, and then we can draw our knees in towards our chest and maybe walk out the pelvis, and then just play here. So keep your feet lifted off the floor. Your feet are just hanging, so you're not, flexing the feet or anything. Just let the feet hang, and just play with a little gentle movement of the knees from side to side, so you can feel that massaging action into the lower back. So see if you can really feel it across the back of the waist there. It's a common area that people feel tightness in the thoracolumbar fascia, the connective tissue of this area, which can create some problems for some people. So it's nice to get into that area and massage that area. Now we're going to let our knees come into the center here, and from this point in the center, we're going to allow our left knee, perhaps, it's fine to do your right knee if you want to turn towards me. So you can take, in fact, let's change that or back up. You're going to allow the knee that is perhaps closest to your screen to start to move out towards the floor. So it's drawing in towards the body and arcing out towards the floor. And then as the leg arcs out, we're going to bring the leg all the way down to the floor, so the other buttock will lift up, the opposite buttock, and you will roll. And then as you roll, you can bring the knee towards the other knee, that back knee, and then you're going to allow what is the top leg to extend out. Let your body turn onto your side, so you follow into it and you stretch into the top arm. You stretch into the top leg, so you're making one long line of extension through that side of the body, and then we're going to pull it back in. So that top leg is going to bend, it's going to come in towards the other leg. You're going to let your body rotate back towards the floor, so we have a brief visit into the twist, and then we're going to bring the legs back in. So one knee in, then the other knee, you return yourself to the center, and then we move to the other side. So leg that's furthest from me can open out first of all. It can move all the way to the side, and then maybe it will come all the way down to the floor. The opposite buttock will lift, because we have to take the pelvis with us, and then that leg can start to come over. We have a brief visit to the twist there, and then we're going to extend that top leg out down the length of our mat. We're going to fold ourselves over onto our side. The top arm is going to extend, the top leg is extending. They're reaching away from each other. You're breathing, and then you're going to hug that knee back in towards the other knee, and you're going to open your arm out wide. And then you're going to roll yourselves back into the center. You're going to pause and breathe here. We're going to do that one more time to each side. So realign your body. And then when you're ready, taking out that first leg, there's a point at which it will no longer move. So you have to let the pelvis move. You have to roll towards that outer hip. You bring what is now your top leg over towards that bottom leg, and then you're going to extend that top leg out away from the body, down the length of your mat. Your top arm is going to extend above your head. You're going to reach into that, and then that top leg is going to draw back in towards the bottom leg. Your body's going to open out towards the ceiling. You're going to roll yourselves back in, one leg at a time, and then roll to the other side. Taking one leg down first, following with the other leg. Again, you roll yourselves over. Once that leg has met the other leg, then you're extending that leg out. You're extending the top arm out. You're reaching along the length of the leg, the length of the arm, and then you're pulling it back in, opening the body out, and then returning your legs back into the center and slowly bringing the feet down to the floor, realigning yourselves on your mat, taking a nice deep steady breath here. Giving yourself to your breath. Giving your body to the floor. Giving yourself to this moment in time. And give your knees a little hug in towards your chest, and take hold of your knees, either each knee independently in each hand, or you can hug around your knees, perhaps interlacing your fingers. The knees can be together or apart, and then you can roll around here as you wish. So you can let yourself move from side to side, just feeling that massaging action across your back, and again, just enjoying that. So it's a wonderful thing. Maybe you're on carpet like I am and you're enjoying that softness. Or maybe you're on a firm surface and enjoying that too. So you get that deeper squeeze. Okay, we're going to roll ourselves onto our side now, and you're going to press into your hands to slowly come up from your side. Okay, and we're going to bring ourselves back into Savasana as we came at the beginning of the class. So this nice and compact cross-legged position, that you've got a little gap here between the legs, so you're not folding your legs under. We're drawing our buttock flesh out and back. We're taking support if we need to. So you may need to sit on a folded blanket perhaps to raise up your seat, or sit yourself on a book or a block. If you're feeling collapsed in the lower back, you should definitely raise your seat. And if your shins are lifting, then raise your seat and give yourself some support with your blankets or towel beneath your shins, like so. Okay. And then just place your hands there on your knees. And again, just close your eyes and use that closing of your eyes to gather in. Now we're going to feel into a little movement that's going to be a little rotation around the hips here. So we're going to move forwards and back. And it might just be a little gentle rotation, but it may open out into a wider rotation, so you can feel into it at your own pace. It might be a little small, almost internal sensation of rotation, or it may move out wider, so you feel you are, really reaching your body into the space around you. So I'll let you feel into that at your own pace. Might be that you spiral out and spiral in, so you reach into a wider space and then bring yourself into a more concentrated movement. So just be free in the body, playful. And then bring yourselves to settle in the center, whether or not you've drawn that circle out wide or whether it's been a very small circle. Just drop into stillness. And then again, you can begin the rotation in the opposite direction now. So maybe a little, almost imperceptible rotation if, someone were watching you, but, you can feel it. It might be that you build that up into a wider rotation, but, you're under no obligation to rotate your body in any particular way. I just want you to feel into that movement around the hips, to feel some freedom in the upper body. You can let your shoulders move into it, be soft around the neck. And then that's it, rotate yourselves into stillness. Rotate yourselves into stillness. Okay, well done. You may slowly release the cross of your legs and move out any support that you have there. Move around as you need to. Maybe you need to give the hips a bit of a rub. And then it's here we're going to prepare to lay down for Savasana. So, same principles as usual. If when you lay down, if your head leans back like this, you need support under your head to bring your head into a natural alignment. You can still take support and have a slight inclination of the chin forwards, but not too much support. So if you've got some like big fat pillows in your house, maybe just take a little folded blanket so you're not overly tucking the chin forwards. And then your arms are going to come out to the side. If there's a cold floor, you may be happier with your hands to your belly, or one hand to the belly, one hand to the chest. And you can take your feet into a position around about hip width apart. That's it, perfect. And take some support under your knees if you need it. So you can have a rolled up blanket underneath the knees if you need a little support there. And then you may close your eyes and feel that, conscious closing of your eyes when you come. can see Jo's putting her socks on there. So yeah, do make sure you're warm. Have a blanket if you need it. And then with closing of our eyes, there's a conscious movement towards drawing in. Allow your tongue to be soft in your mouth. And again, your jaw can release. So, the space between the top teeth and the bottom teeth, they're not clenching together. Our facial muscles relax to the point that, it's almost a sensation of melting as we allow everything to soften, everything to give to this moment, to give ourselves to the support. We are here with support. Dropping into the flow of the breath. As you drop into the flow of the breath, I'll read you a little verse from Chandogya Upanishad, which maybe some of you have heard. I've read it in a couple of my classes this week. Breath is greater than hope. Just as spokes are held together in a wheel hub, everything is held together in the breath. Breath moves by breath. Breath gives it to breath. Breath is father, breath is mother. Breath is brother, breath is sister. Breath is teacher, breath is Brahmana. So Brahmana here, if you're not familiar with that term, is the underlying reality, the nature of everything. So breath is everything. Everything is the breath. And as we lay here in the company of our breath, we are resting in that nature of Brahmana, that nature of everything, of pure consciousness, of the formless reality that brings everything together, that brings us together. feeling your breath as greater than hope. I'd like you to take 3 spacious breaths, allowing that breath to come into your body with ease, to feel the nurturing, nourishing quality of that incoming breath, and to feel yourself feeding that breath out back to the world through your exhalations as an offering of prana, as an offering of life force, as an offering of support. And when you've taken those 3 deeper breaths in your own time, you may slowly bend your knees and place your feet to the floor. Be soft in the body as you slowly place your feet to the floor. Maybe a natural inclination to want to lift the pelvis and extend it forwards to give yourself a little space in the lower back. And then you may roll yourselves onto your side, so just roll onto your right side and pause there. Feeling your weight dropping down through the right side of your body, enjoying that depth of contact, feeling it as a support beneath you. And then rolling yourselves over onto your other side when you're ready, and be soft in the body. Just roll over, like you've got all the time in the world here now. There's no rush. And then again, when you're ready, you may slowly bring yourselves up from your sides. There may be a little movement in your body before you come up. Maybe you might stretch yourselves out, so whatever you need to do. And then when you're ready, you may bring yourselves up from your side and come to a comfortable seated posture. We'll close the class together. Now, I have been asked about everyone turning on their sound for Om, but it doesn't quite work out, unfortunately, because how Zoom works is that it just moves to one speaker at a time. So unfortunately, we can't hear our Oms together, but we can feel our Oms together. Okay? So, we can feel them across the various places that we're dialing in from, that we're all being united together through this chanting of this wonderful bija that represents everything. So bring your hands to your heart. We're going to chant Om 3 times. So let's take a deep inhalation to prepare. Thank you all very much. Namo Vaha, Namaste. Thank you for joining me. You feel free to unmute